Good morning, all. I hope you've had a good morning and had a good evening. I'm excited because the appeals court, the 11th appeals court, received my relator's motion to expedite consideration or compel ruling, seeing as they're just sitting on it. It's just crazy to me how corrupt it all is, really. I don't know why I say that, though, because, it's clear as day how corrupt it is. Just turn on the news at this point. Or walk outside your door. Everywhere in the world is corrupt at this point, really. Even in your own home. And so it's a hard pill to swallow, I'm sure. It's a hard pill for me to swallow, so I'd imagine it's a hard pill for others to swallow. Living in a world where they just can do what they want, say what they want, completely exploit and tarnish somebody's life, and put it on a world stage where it then becomes a silent Truman Show. And while in the midst of that, they then can make money and monetize it. And I'm not even just talking about me. I'm talking about in general. That's what they're doing with the Charlie Kirk assassination. That's what they're doing with TP USA. Everything going on with Poppy T. Everything going on with Daddy D. And, it's just one of those things. It really is. And I don't foresee it changing, within the next couple of years. Obviously, we got them for 3. We are all so lucky, thank you, for you to live up to your bargain. But seeing as you've already pretty much said you're not heaven bound, we all know where your mind's at. So that pretty much concretes that. I've been, the last 24 hours, my hand is like all numb too. I don't know what that was. They're sending me all kinds of weird, crazy crap. The last 24 hours, I really kind of pieced together some things and, just going through the motions of it. It's just all so, I don't know. It's so hard for me to wrap my head around living in a world, living in a city, living in a nation where people just do the most egregious things to one another intentionally. It's so hard for me to wrap my little head around it. It's very hard for me because, power, money, greed, all these things, the finer things. Okay, yeah, sure. But at the end of the day, when you take such actions and you do such heinous things to one another, you have to understand that that's going to eat you up because you know what you did. You know what I mean? And so it's so hard for me to know that we have such evil people in this world where they literally just act as if they did nothing. And you know that they did. And it's like, they just look at you and it's like, all fun rosies and posies, and it's like, but no, you know what you did, I know what you did, and we're not cool. It's not like that. The tables have turned, and I'm fine to walk by myself, completely fine, because I'm never by myself. I've got God, I've got Jesus, I've got my angels, I've got my collective community that I've connected with, finding my soul family. I don't ever feel alone. I do not ever feel alone. And if it means standing alone rather than standing with deceptive, dishonest people, I'm good with it. You pick a side of the fence and you stand on it. You stand on it. You stand on your morals. You stand on your values. And we lose sight of that. So you got to be the change. If you want to see change, you got to be the change. You got to be the way maker. That's what Jesus was, a way maker, right? And we just have so many people that are just losing sight of making a moral, ethic, faithful, righteous, humility way, just because they're tunnel visioned. their way or the highway. And they're broken and they have unhealed childhood wounds. That's all it stems from, literally. Unhealed childhood wounds and their upbringing. You are a culprit of what raised you. You are. That's why I take so much ownership in things when it comes to my son, in reference to areas where I know I could have been a better parent. And karma's hit me times a trillion in reference to that, because I was so bogged down in chasing the bag and getting to that said title and getting to that white picket fence that I lost sight of the importance of being mentally, physically, and emotionally present to my son, and we all lose sight of that. I know, as well as I say that, so many people can relate to this, because it's truth. It is truth. And that's why it's so important to embrace the present moment with your children, because it is gone in a blink of an eye, and you're going to look back and you're going to be like, wow, I wish I would have done this differently. I wish I would have done this differently. And I've forgiven myself, but you forgive yourself as well as you take accountability. You just see what I'm saying? There's two different sides of the coin there. You have to forgive yourself, but then you also have to take accountability. You can't always point the finger. We have to get away from a world where they point the finger, or they throw rocks and hide their hands, or they throw swords and hide their face, and think that they're not going to get caught. You are going to get caught. God sees everything. God sees everything. And to do things of such heinous acts and then consider yourself a religious person. So basically you're doing these heinous acts, right? And then you go to church. So God exists, or at least you have a facade that God exists. So it's like you're literally mocking him. You're literally being contradictory to him. You're literally laughing at him in his face at that point. Considering yourself a religious person while doing really horrible activities. Whether that's in your mind, whether that's in your thoughts, whether that's in your words, whether that's in your actions, whether that's in your business deals, whether that's all the things you do in the dark. You have to think about these things with intention, with integrity, with your heart, because they matter. They matter to God. They do. You can't just say, oh, I'm sorry, God, I repent, and I recognize Jesus died on the cross, and then go in the next day and do the same thing. God's going to have these conversations with you. Your time here on earth will end. All right, it will end, and you will go in the ground. And what happens next for you is determined by the seeds you sow while you're here on earth. And that's the truth. That is truth. And it's all over in the Bible. All over in the Bible. Anyways. Let's see here. What's today's date? The 18th. Multiply. As a partner with Jesus, you will become mature fathers and mothers to those who were once like you. When you eat from the manna of his presence, you become bread, substance for others. And
sorry, I don't understand.
I understand you don't understand. Thank you, Siri. A lot of people don't understand this substance. His presence, it has qualified you as a minister of his kingdom to those who he brings to you. You are called to duplicate yourself. That's what we're all called to. We're all called to duplicate ourselves by spreading the seeds, good seeds, spreading acts of service, spreading acts of kindness, giving a hand when you can, giving some money to somebody when you can and they need it. Everybody just lose so much sight of it, and I don't know. I know that I'm going through some healing ventures and some different things that I'm working through with spirit right now, because my patience level is running thin. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. It is indeed just in the grossness of what follows me. And all based off jealousy and greed and power, and not wanting to take accountability and the actions that they did to me to cause me to leave. But no, nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about that. Same thing with my ex-husband. What caused me to leave? And then you did all that stuff with the house and forged my signature, bro. Come on now. Really? I mean, it's just crazy how embedded all of this goes. And like I said, I do know. I'm well aware. I'm well aware.